Yo. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn Show, man. Tonight is August the 18th. This show will be for the 5 games for tomorrow in the WNBA. Went through them. Got some insight I want to share. Made a play. Got like 3 in the clip that I might end up making. We're going to jump right into it, man. Hit the like button for me if you can. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. All that good stuff. Turn the notification bell on. All that good stuff. And let's jump into it, man. All right. So we'll start with a quick recap of yesterday. So yesterday, it was a beautiful show if you guys tuned in on Sunday. I think I had 7 plays on the short list and 6 of them cashed. The only one that didn't cash was the Dallas Wings. But everything else we talked about won. I ended up sending out Atlanta minus the 4 against Golden State. They won, got the job done easily. Make a little bit of it back, still in the hole in the season. But I feel like now that the playoffs are right around the corner, if you've been watching, I feel like it's kind of easy. It's easier, I would say, to know who's real and who's not based on the identity of some of these teams. So let's jump into it, man. We'll start off with Jackson. Jackson is an AI sports betting tool. The link is in the description if you guys want to check it out for your sides, player props, totals, wins, win totals, whatever it is that you want to look at, any sport. Jackson has a little bit of analysis on everything. Yesterday, Jackson had 2 looks. Jewel Lloyd over her 11.5 points. She finished with 12, so that was a winner. And Satu Sabli under her 2.5 assists. She finished at 2, so that was also a winner. So Jackson kind of hot right now. Looks like Jackson has been winning a lot more than it's been losing over the last few games. Tomorrow, we'll go same prompt just because the last one was a winner, so I switch it up, right? Best 2 player props for August the 19th. We'll start off with Tina Charles over her 15.5 points. So I didn't even have this on the short list, but I told you guys I like Tina Charles yesterday. She absolutely did her thing against Indiana Fever. So 15.5 again, tomorrow is what Jackson likes. It says that she's been consistently hitting the over in this line, 60% of her last 5 games, averaging 15.8. This trend holds over her last 10 games, 60% hit rate, averaging 17. Over her last 15 games, 60% hit rate, averaging 17.33. Her season average 16.06 points, also comfortably sits above 15.5 with a 59.38% over hit. What truly makes this pick compelling is Charles' performance against the Mystics. This season, she's played them twice. She's hit the over in 100% of their games, averaging an impressive 20 points. This consistent success against the Mystics is a significant indicator of her ability to be able to perform against their defense. Take Tina Charles over her 15.5 points tomorrow. Looks like, as of the recording of this video, FanDuel has it at plus 100 if you like Tina Charles over her points. Next player prop is on Camila Cardoso. So 2 centers, over 21.5 points plus rebounds tomorrow. So Jackson likes her recent performance. It says that she has been performing well, hitting the over 70% of her last 10 games, while she's averaging 24.3 points plus rebounds. While her last 5 games shows a 40% hit rate, the long-term trend and her performance against the Storm are more indicative. Her season average of 21.03 points plus rebounds, which is right around the current line. Head-to-head dominance. What truly makes this pick compelling is Cardoso's performance against Seattle this season. In her 1 game against them, she hit the over 100% of the time, averaging she had 26 combined points plus rebounds in that game. So her consistent success against the Storm is a significant indicator of her ability to be able to perform against their defense. While the Storm's defense ranks 7th against points and 8th against rebounds, indicating I wouldn't say strong, but it says strong defensive unit. Cardoso's proven ability to exceed this line against them in her recent matchups, coupled with her strong overall output, suggests she can overcome the defense, this defensive strength. So take Camila Cardoso over. Looks like the best line, or maybe not the best line, but the line I see is minus 130 on FanDuel. And Angel Reese is listed as questionable. So we'll see if she actually comes back tomorrow. I'm thinking that she's not. I think it's going to be one more game and then she'll be out, but I'm just speculating. All right, let's jump into it for today, man, or tomorrow. First game we got is the New York Liberty and the visiting Minnesota Lynx. So we know these 2 teams just played against each other. For Minnesota, it's actually been this will be the 3rd game in a row for them because they had the breaks off in between, while the Liberty had a couple games in between before they played in Minnesota in their last game. So Fee is listed as doubtful. There is no Stewie. There is no Isabel Harrison. She's out. And then no Nair Sabli. She's also out. But Minnesota back at home. Need a win in the worst possible way. You look at the situational spot for the Lynx. 6.5 games ahead of the Atlanta Dream, who sit in second. So the Lynx are like comfortably in really good spot, even without Nafisha Collier in their last handful of games. I think Fees missed like 5 or 6 games, and the Lynx just keep winning. The Liberty, on the other hand, they are now in third after back-to-back losses. They lost to the Aces before they lost to the Lynx. They're also just a half a game ahead of Phoenix and Las Vegas, who both won on Sunday. So things are really heating up for this New York Liberty team. They clearly need this game if they don't want to continue to dip into the standings, but we shall see how that plays out. Minnesota, of course, this will be the fourth game, last game of the season between these two teams. Minnesota has won all 3 of them. Minnesota has won all 3 of them. They won the one in New York as well by 6 in the most recent one. They beat them by 7 in the second one. They beat them by 7 at home in the first one as well. I think it was 100-93. The totals have gone over in the first one, under in the second one, and then a push in the third one. So I'll talk a little bit about the total, but this total does intrigue me a lot. Really difficult to want to bet against Minnesota. You can see the numbers here. First, last 5 games. Well, first on the full season in offensive rating, defensive rating, net rating. I mean, this team is just a real juggernaut, even without Nafisha Collier there. Do they have a little bit of a letdown spot? Do New York say, you know what, like, I'm not gonna let you continue to boss me around? I'm not sure. Even in the last 5 games, this Minnesota Lynx, the Minnesota Lynx numbers are astonishing. Second in offensive rating, third in defensive rating, first in net rating, second in points per game, first in opponent points per game. I saw a little bit of something from the New York Liberty, though. I did like the fight that they had in the last game, and I think that if it wasn't such a big free throw disparity, if you go back and look at the numbers, I think it was something like, north of 25, 26 free throws compared to only like 6 or 7 for the Liberty. Maybe they get a little bit more of a whistle in this game. I'm trying to find any way that I possibly can to take the Liberty, but, minus 2.5 against the Lynx team that's kind of red hot right now. I don't want to fade them. Do not want to fade them, especially with the Liberty being their first game back home after, I think, like a 3 or 4 game road trip. They just won 8-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. It was a 3-game road trip, and they played 8 of their last 10 games on the road as well. The Liberty, everything for the Liberty has declined from full season to last 5 games, and it makes sense when you're without Stewie, when you're without Sabli, when you're trying to integrate Misamin into the lineup. So I don't know, man. I really, really don't know. I found a couple trends that say to take the Minnesota Lynx. I think I'm gonna stay off. They are a team that has their road favorite who has who has more rest and less travel. Those teams typically win. They typically cover about 58% of the time as well. More importantly, though, and where I shift my focus to is the total in this game. Immediately when it opened, it started to get bet up. This was up to like 167.5, 168. It's now coming back down to 165.5, and that's what I agree with. I think that this game goes under. Minnesota struggled to shoot the ball in their last game. I think that could happen again. We know Minnesota's the best defensive team in the WNBA, whether you're looking last 5 games, full season. Last 10 games, they are third, but they give up 75 points per game. I feel like the more you play the same team over and over again, the more you should be able to make adjustments and slow them down, right? So Courtney Williams had a big game in the last one. Londa Smith had a pretty big game as well. I think I know both of these teams, are really, really great offensive teams, but I think we see defense, especially on the New York Liberty side of things. Home dogs in triple revenge games go under 61% of the time. Home dogs seeking double in-season revenge that are playing the same team that they just lost to within 3 days. Those games go under about 65% of the time as well. And Libs are also 6-1 to the under in home games when they're coming off a road game. So first game back home for them are typically under games. So I consider, Liberty team total under because I do think that Minnesota is still the better defensive team. But I may just get there with the full under. I think one of those two would be the ways that I would play this one. And I'm staying away from player props in this game. That's my thought process. Let's move over to the next. So Connecticut and Washington game will be played in DC. Rematch is on Thursday in Connecticut. I think that's something to keep in mind. This line open 6. Then it got bet down to 5.5. There's still some 5.5s out there. Total hasn't really moved a lot at all. Open 158.5. It's low as 157.5. So a little bit of money coming in on the under. So Stephanie Dolson is out. Big Mama Steph is out for the Washington Mystics, and JC Sheldon is also out for the Mystics. I think Connecticut should have, it should have a pretty full roster in this one. I didn't see anybody on the injury report. Connecticut, of course, has nothing to play for when we look at situational spot as far as playoffs go. But Washington has everything to play for. They only have a game behind the Storm and the Sparks, who both lost on Sunday for the final playoff spot. So Washington needs this game. They've done well against this Connecticut team so far this season. They won and covered both games early this season, once by 5 and once by 3 as road favorites. They beat them by 37 in the last game as 8-point home favorites. And I remember them beating them in Connecticut because we were on them, I think, -2.5, -3, and they barely won. I think they won by 4 or 5. Connecticut is just 1-15 straight up on the road. They're 7-9 against the spread on the road. They've covered 6 of their last 10 games, though. Most of those have been at home. The more I kind of looked into this game, the more I was like, man, I can't lay points with Washington. But I also don't really want to take them with Connecticut either. I just feel like Washington, I just don't ever trust them to win by margin, right? They're 1-5. The Washington Mystics are 1-5 when they're playing at home after a home win. So that trend screams inconsistency. They're also 2-5 against the spread when they're laying points at home in general. So I don't want to lay points with them. And they're 0-2 if they're playing at home, coming off a win. So there's just a lot of inconsistencies with this Washington Mystics team. However, Connecticut, on the other hand, they're 0-3 straight up and against the spread if they're a single-digit road dog. So every single time the Connecticut Sun are supposed to play a close game, they end up getting the doors blown off of them. They lost to Atlanta in this spot by 24, to the Mystics by 37, and to the Valkyries by 17. The other thing that really, really jumped out to me was the total. I think I had a lot of things on the under because the Sun play slow. They don't play too much defense. But the more and more I looked at Washington, at least in their current form, I kind of feel like they should be able to score the basketball. If you look at this Connecticut team, it's not really close. Connecticut is by far the worst, defensive rated team in the WNBA this season, specifically on the road. They have a 114.7 defensive rating. The second worst team is the Chicago Sky at 109. And these are road games. The margin is kind of big with Connecticut, as it relates to them playing defense on the road. And then I looked at Washington, their last few games, you look at it, they played against some really poor defenses. They just played Dallas. They smoked them, scored as many points as they wanted. They played the Sparks in their most recent game, smoked them, almost got to 100 points. And that was 2 of their last 3 games. They also got to 88 against the Indiana Fever, not a great defense either. So they've gotten to 82 points or more in 4 straight games. If you look at it, they're actually 3rd in offensive rating in the last 5 games, 3rd in scoring as well, 1st in effective field goal percentage, and 2nd in free throw rate. So they're getting to the free throw line. They're averaging the most assists. Crazy to think, but I just think that it's based on who they played against, right? When you're playing against Dallas and you follow that up by playing against the Sparks, and then you throw the Indiana Fever defense in there, you're gonna score the basketball. And I think they're gonna be able to score the basketball in this game too, because Connecticut's defense is not blowing anybody out of the water at all. So I think I would stay away and just isolate Washington team total. You can get an 81.5. I think they can get to 82 points in this game. Like I said, they've gotten to 82 in 4 straight games. So that's what I like in this one. I would just stay away from the spread, play Washington. Team total up and over 81.5, especially with Connecticut coming off overtime game as well. So we could see, a little less defense in that game, some tired legs, being that they had to, play an extra session against Fever on Sunday. Next game is Seattle and in Chicago. I won't be on this one long because I really don't have too strong of an opinion on this game. Haley Van Lith is listed as probable. Ariel Atkins is listed as probable for the Chicago Sky, and Angel Reese also upgraded to questionable in this game. Like I said earlier, I think that she's not going to play, but I could be completely wrong. We shall see. I know she was on the court doing normal basketball activities, and I think she practiced with the team as well. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be enough to bring her back in this game. If you're the Chicago Sky, you don't really have anything to play for. I think that's important, right? Whereas the Seattle Storm have everything to play for. They're in the final playoff spot in the association. They are lucky, that the Washington Mystics ended up beating the LA Sparks, because the Sparks would be in that spot. Seattle just, can't put it together right now. They lost to Phoenix in their last game. We called that one on Sunday. but they desperately need this one. Do they need to win it by double digits? I'm not quite sure. I don't want to put my money on Chicago. We know how bad they've been. They do have a 2-day rest advantage in this game. They lost 4 straight games in a row without covering any of them, and they've lost 9 of their last 10 without covering any of them except one. And the one that they covered was actually the one that they won, which was the Washington Mystics game. But Seattle is like in the same boat. They're 2-8 straight up and against the spread in their last 10 games. I'm not one to lay double digits. I know the last time that they played, they absolutely smoked them. They beat Chicago 95 to like 57 or something like that in the last matchup as 11.5-point favorite. So the line was the same. That game did go under the total of 154. This total is actually on the rise up. Went from 154 up to 158. And that's what I kind of agree with, because if you look at Seattle defensively, they have not been great recently, and they're playing super fast. So we'll see if Angel Reese actually comes back. Like I said, I'm just speculating. I think that she, is out one more game. And then the Chicago Sky actually go to New York. I think she could play in that game against the Liberty in the next game, which is later this week. So that's kind of how I see this game. Like, I don't know, Sky offense so bad that I don't really want to take it over. They are playing at the second slowest pace in the last 5 games as well. But like I said, Seattle, defensively, they've kind of fell off. Seventh in defensive rating over the last 5 games. They're also playing at the 4th fastest pace as well. So I don't really want to take anything in this game. I did have not a super strong trend, but double-digit home dogs with more than 2 days rest facing an opponent that has less than 2 days rest. Does say that Chicago can keep this one within the number. Those teams are those double-digit dogs with at least 2 days of rest advantage have covered 8 of the 13 times. So 8, 4, and 1 in the 13 instances. And Seattle is a plus 2.9 in net rating on the road this season. It makes it really, really difficult to want to lay double digits with them until you look at Chicago, who's the worst team in the WNBA at home as far as net rating. They're minus 15.8. The second worst team at home is the Wings, to put some comparison to this, and they're minus 5.9. So, I mean, no team has less of a home court advantage than the Chicago Sky this season. They're 10 points better than the Dallas Wings. They're 10 points worse than the Dallas Wings, who are in second. And the Sky lose by average of 13 points as a home dog with more rest than their opponent this season. They're 1-8, both straight up and against the spread as a double-digit home dog this season. They just absolutely get smoked. Home court means nothing to them. They play better on the road. And without Angel Reese, you don't just really want to touch him anyway. So there's no play for me on this game. I will happily stay on the sideline, not pay attention to this game at all. It sucks because it's the 8 o'clock standalone time game. So it is what it is. Next game up is Dream and the Aces. This one opened with the Aces laying 2.5. Total was like 164.5. It's actually moving up. 165s are available now, and the spread is actually getting smaller in favor of the Atlanta Dream. So, you got to talk about the standings in this one. I think injury-wise, everybody will be in except Jordan Canada will continue to miss time for Atlanta. Got to talk about the spot for this one, right? So Atlanta, with their win over the Valkyries on Sunday, they are now in sole possession of the second place. They had dropped it because they had lost to the Mercury in that game before. Only 1 game ahead of the New York Liberty, though, and 1.5 games ahead of the Phoenix Mercury and the Las Vegas Aces. So this game means a lot for Atlanta if they want to hold on to the second, number 2 seed. You look at the Aces, it's crazy because the Aces are a game and a half behind the Dream for second place. Crazy to think that as poorly as they started the season, this team was like in 8th place and 9th place at one time, I think. And now, you see them like just balling, man. They've won 7 straight. They're tied with the Minnesota Lynx for, best record throughout the last 10 games. They're 9-1 as far as record-wise go in their last 10 games, which, like I said, is the tie for the best with the Minnesota Lynx. Got to give them some credit here. You start to look into this matchup. So both teams need the game, of course. Las Vegas did win the earlier matchup. They beat them 87-72 in Vegas as a 3-point home favorite. When I went back and looked at that game, the Dream uncharacteristically turned the ball over a lot. And the Dream are not necessarily a team that are going to turn the ball over that frequently. I don't think that they're going to turn the ball over. The Aces is also not a team that forces a lot of turnovers. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I'm looking at this Atlanta Dream team. There's a couple things I don't like for the Dream. This is their second straight road game, but it's also their 5th game of their last 6 to be played on the road. So a lot of travel, maybe potentially some travel fatigue as well. They are 7-3 straight up in their last 10 games, 8-2, 7-3 against the spread, 8-2 straight up, and they're also 12-7 straight up on the road. So a lot of things that you like for the Dream, a lot of things that, not necessarily that great. On the opposite side for the Aces, I mentioned a little bit of this already, but they have played 17 games at home, 12-5 straight up. They're only 8-9 against the spread, but they are 8-2 in their last 10 games. Like, the Aces probably the hottest team in the WNBA outside of the Minnesota Lynx. They've been comfortably at the crib too. This will be game number 4 of their last 5 games they played at home. Game number 6 of their last 8 games they played at home. So you kind of want to take the team that, has the momentum, that, is playing and not having to travel a lot. But I bucked all that. I'm on the Dream. I'm on the Dream, man. I'm riding with the Dream, man. So a couple of different things here. Aces, in their last 5 games, one of the things that's really propelled them a lot is their offensive rebounds. They rank number 1 in offensive rebounding. Atlanta is allowing the fewest offensive rebounds in the last 5 games, last 10 games, and on the full season. I think Atlanta can take the Vegas off the boards. Aces' recent success has come in the paint. Last 5 games, they're number 1 in paint makes and attempts, and second in paint field goal percentage. Atlanta's actually number 2 defensively guarding the paint in their last 5 games. So I think the Aces are really going to, I wouldn't say really, but I think they are going to struggle to score the basketball. I think this is the best defense that the Aces have faced, within the stretch of games that they've been playing really, really good. Because the last time they played against a really, really good team was, Minnesota. And Minnesota came in there and beat them by like 50. So, yeah, I think the Dream get the job done. The Dream are also in a revenge spot. They're perfect 7-0 straight up, 6-1 against the spread in revenge games this season. They're also 7-4 straight up as road dogs. So 11 times they've been road dogs. They've won 7 of them straight up, including 4 straight wins. They won 4 straight games as a road dog this season. And then I also was looking into some trends because I thought it was kind of interesting. Aces have won 7 games in a row, but then they only land, 2 like a possession, right? So how do favorites do who won 7 games in a row, and now they are a short home favorite, 1 possession or less? Not even home favorite, just a short favorite in general of 1 possession or less. And those teams, it's only happened 9 times in the database that I checked, 2-7 straight up and against the spread. If they land 2 or less, 0-5 straight up and against the spread. It says that the Dream, got a chance to win this game, and I absolutely think so. I also consider Aces team total under. First meeting only had 159 points between the 2 teams, staying well below the 163 number. The last 4 head-to-head meetings have all stayed under the total as well. 6 of the last 7 meetings have all stayed under the total going back to last season. Atlanta themselves have actually played in 5 straight unders. And favorites who won 7 games in a row, like the Aces, are 4-1 to the under if they land 2 points or less. So I think it's a lot of ways for this game to stay under. Dream are allowing 72 points in revenge matchups this season. They felt 5 of their 7 opponents under their team total in revenge games. 6 of the 9 times that a favorite has been on a 7-game win streak, then favorites of just 3 points or less, the favorites stayed under their team total. So there's some really strong trends here. That's 66% towards the under, either the full game under, or I like the Aces team total under. But I'm not sure if I'm going to add because I did take the Dream plus the 1.5. I think they win the game outright tomorrow. That's my thought process here. Last game on the board, Mercury and the Valkyries. So Akoa Makani is probable. I think she missed the last game against Seattle. And then Rapport is listed as out. She got a concussion in that game on Sunday against the Atlanta Dream. So they will be without her services, which also puts them down a big in this game. I think, Monique Billings is still out. So a lot of heavy lifting for a lot of heavy lifting for some of the bigs that are still there for the Golden State Valkyries. Timmy Fong Bagley, Salam, like they're gonna have their work cut out for sure. But the Mercury not the greatest rebounding team, so we'll talk about a little bit about that as well. So spot wise, I talked about this already for the Mercury. They are tied with the Aces for 4th, but they do have a slightly. I think they play like 1 less game, so they got the same record as far as like games back, but pretty much a tie there. In the Dream, in their 1.5, both of the teams are 1.5 games behind the Atlanta Dream for 2nd place. So it's kind of crazy to think that the Aces could still finish 2nd or the Mercury could finish 2nd, but that is a possibility. This Golden State Valkyries team, after losing to Atlanta on Sunday, are now in 7th place. They're a game and a half ahead of the Las Vegas Aces and the Washington Commanders. I'm watching the preseason game. The Washington Mystics, who are also tied. Those teams are tied for 9th, the Sparks and the Mystics. So Valkyries absolutely need a win to, keep themselves as far as they possibly can higher in the standings and not go down to 7th and 8th. Phoenix has won both of the head-to-head matchups when these teams have played. They beat them by 1 in the most recent matchup. They were shorthanded in that game. And then the first one, they won by 9 in the matchup that was played on June the 1st. One went over and one went under. The last one went under. The first one went over. Phoenix is not like necessarily the greatest road team. And I talked about liking Phoenix against Seattle. That's because Seattle's not the greatest home team either. But they were able to go get the job done. So now, second straight road game. They're 5-5 against the spread in their last 10 games, just 8-8 on the road. They've been kind of like a mediocre team. Definitely played, down. You can, credit it to injuries, somewhat. But the Mercury haven't looked like themselves. The Valkyries, I think, will be hungry for a win in this game. I don't put the Atlanta Dream. I don't put the Mercury on the same category as the Atlanta Dream. There's very few teams that I would take laying points. In Golden State, but and the Mercury aren't one of them. So if I'm playing this game, I am looking towards the Valkyries to be able to bounce back in this spot. They're 10-6 straight up at the crib, 11-4 against the number. They're 7-3 in the last 10 games as well. But I started to look a little bit more at the total. If you look at these defenses, they're really, really good, right? I mean, it's a super low total too. Open 156 is down to 155, but both of these defenses are second and fourth. And I think if we look a little closer to last 5 games. I don't think I wrote this down, but if we look a little closer to last 5 games, talked about this on Sunday. One of the reasons I like the Seattle team total under. The Mercury's defense has been really, really good. Their offense has struggled, right? So last 5 games, they're number 1 in defensive rating, 91.8. Number 3 in opponent points per game, 73.6. And the Valkyries right behind them. Valkyries actually in front of them. Valkyries are 3rd in defensive rating at 94.4, but they're giving up the second fewest points per game at 76.8. So if you put the points together that both of these teams are allowing, you get about 149, right at 150. And I think this game is going to be an under game. I think Golden State continues to play super slow, and more so than like just the under. I think the Phoenix Mercury are going to struggle to score the basketball as well. I think Golden State's going to continue to play slow. You look at their last 5 games, 10 games, and full season. They're the slowest team in the WNBA. They allowed just 67 points per game in their last 5. 72 in their last 72 points per game in their last 10. And Phoenix is also, I didn't mention this, but they're 11th in offensive rating in their last 5 games. They average 82 points per game. Now you get the slowest paced team, one of the better defensive teams at home. I think that they are going to struggle to score the basketball. They're allowing they're giving up the 5th most points. They're allowing the 5th most points. The 5th most points versus second chance shots is what I'm trying to say. The Phoenix Mercury are scoring the 5th most points. That's what I tried to write in my notes. They're scoring the 5th most points via second chance shots and fast break. They're 5th in both. Golden State's top 5 in both of those categories. From a trend perspective, Golden State allows just 67 points per game when they're playing their second straight home game. They're 6-1 to the under in those games as well. And Phoenix also 4-1 to the under and 4-1 to their under on their team total as well, averaging just 77 points per game when they're playing on a road game. And it's a super low total. So 160 or lower, they typically don't score but 72 points. They went over against the Sun and they went over against the Storm. They went over against the Sun. That's the only over. Then they went under against the Storm, the Lynx, the Valkyries, and then again to the Lynx again. So under twice against the Lynx. I think the Valkyries defense comes to play in this game, especially at Ball Hauler. I like the Mercury team total under. You can get an 81.5 right now. I think this total continues to come down as well. I think this game could be played pretty slow. And I also think the Valkyries probably going to struggle to score the basketball as well. So those are my thought processes on the game, man. What I bet was Atlanta was Atlanta plus the 1.5. I do like the Aces team total under. Not sure if I'll get there. And I do think Minnesota, New York is going to be an under. I think Washington should be able to score against Connecticut, especially being that Connecticut's coming off the overtime game. Washington offense should continue to look really good. Sonia Citron should look really, really good. I think Washington should be able to neutralize Connecticut from being able to be such a good rebounding team. Washington is also a pretty good rebounding team. Washington should be able to get to 82 points tomorrow. And in Seattle, Chicago, I guess if I had to play it, it would be over. But Chicago's offense is so terrible, especially if Angel Reese doesn't play. I don't really know if I want to get there, even though Seattle should be able to, score some points in that game against Chicago. And in Phoenix, team total under if I'm betting that game, man. Link in the description if you guys want to check out the plays. Resources are here. As always, check them out. Jackson Outlive, Moneyballer, OzJam. And drop your boy a like. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Turn the notification bell on. And I will catch you guys on Wednesday for Dallas and LA. A single standalone game before Thursday. We have a 4-game slate. So enjoy your Tuesday, man. Catch you guys in the next one.